This is going to be my very first book review. I based the book review off a very famous author, a very relevant businessman. His name is Patrick Bet David. Patrick Bet David is a very interesting person. He was an immigrant from the war torn country of Iran. And during that time when he grew up, when he was just a young man, he saw bombs just dropping all over the place. His family's life was in danger on a relatively consistent basis. He saw things that many Americans didn't see. His parents were wise enough to realize that his son and their kids wouldn't have a future unless they escaped. And they really followed a very long path to get to the United States. And when they finally got here, I think he ended up in California. He had a hard time even speaking English. He didn't know the language. He had to learn the language. He was a poor student, very active, just full of testosterone, just full of life, just really wanted to kind of do his own thing, just full of energy, but no real direction, even though he did love mathematics. Like I said, he just didn't have any direction. He eventually joined, as he got older, the US military, and that kind of gave him some guidance. But when he got out, he still didn't really have any direction in his life. He bounced around from job to job, liked to party, liked to have a good time type of thing. What really changed his life, from what I understand, was his father had multiple severe heart attacks. I think he had like something like 9 heart attacks. And he tells the story many times about his father, who at one point was getting treated and was just kind of being disrespected. They weren't getting the proper treatment. And he was really frustrated about the disrespect that he had. And after one such incident, what he did, he told his father and he told himself that he promised that the world would know the Bet David name. I think that's when he really just started kind of taking off with his life and started taking his life seriously. He chose the insurance business for his first path to making his millions. And he just kind of worked his way up the ladder, and he constantly worked to improve himself and to constantly get better. He eventually revolutionized the entire industry and recently sold his companies off for hundreds of millions of dollars. Then what he did with that money kind of parlayed it, and he started building a media giant empire. And what he's known for now, his YouTube channel, Valuetainment, which right now is probably bigger or getting close to as big as CNN. He's just growing at a rapid pace. He's very popular online right now. And the other thing is, too, he's also branched off to multiple other businesses. One of the big accomplishments he's proud of is he's a part owner of the New York Yankees. He's a relevant guy, and he's kind of on the fast track to success. And he's a young guy. I'm 51 years old. He's in his mid 40s. So I think he's got a pretty good story to tell. And I started out looking at his books when I listened to him on YouTube. His last 2 books were Your Next 5 Moves, Master the Art of Business Strategy, right here, which is a book that I'll probably be reviewing next. And then his most recent one, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Those were going to be my first 2 books. And when I got online on Amazon to find these books, I saw he's written several books prior to that, which I didn't know. And the one that we're going to talk about now is very interesting to me. It's called Doing the Impossible. Doing the Impossible, the 25 Laws of Doing the Impossible by Patrick Bet David. Now, this book was interesting to me because it was published in 2012. That's 10, 12 years ago, before he really got successful, before he really got well known. I find it interesting that we can look back in time to what his mindset was, what he was thinking, what was his emotional state. You can almost see how he thought 10, 12 years ago, what made the man that he is today. So I think it's very interesting if you as an entrepreneur, or you as a person who wants to have success, or you want to accomplish the impossible, you can actually get into the mind of somebody who's already been there and done that. And so when I read the book, it says the 25 Laws of Doing the Impossible. That means there's 25 chapters. And the book is only 160 pages. So it's a really fast read. It's actually an easy read. It's one of those airport or you're sitting by the beach reads where you can kind of read 3 to 5 pages at a time, get a point, get inspired, pick up something, learn something. I don't think there's a whole lot of just new stuff. I mean, if you're reading books on entrepreneurship or self-help or self-motivation, a lot of these points are very similar to what any other book that you read, but he has his own style, his own way of putting it. And sometimes a way an author puts it can kind of have a different effect on you, kind of stick with you. If you're looking for inspiration and you're looking for something to kind of get you motivated and to learn and kind of get into the minds of a person who started with nothing as an immigrant who couldn't even speak the language to a guy on his way to being worth well over $1 billion. I just think it's a fascinating, quick read, and I totally recommend it for anybody. To kind of get into the points of it, what I thought I would do is there's 25 chapters. I kind of went through the book and I kind of highlighted all these pages, these orange highlights, and I'm marking it up all over the place, different things that I thought were important. So I'm going to kind of give now maybe 20 points or 20 quotes directly from the book, maybe comment on a couple of them, just to give you a rough idea about what you'd be picking up if you bought this book. The very first thing that he said that struck out to me was the first step to achieve the impossible is having the courage to attempt it. Number two, he said, in reality, we change our identity from the inside out, and the change in our circumstances follows. Three, money is something that has to be grown into with a developed sense of discernment, responsibility, and wisdom. This particular quote grabbed me, basically because he had the word discernment in it. When I read that book, I thought maybe this book was sort of meant to be, because the name of my channel is Discerning Life. And part of discerning information is reading a lot. It's interviewing, it's talking to people, it's experiencing life, it's studying. And I think discerning life is very, very important. Nowadays, we have so much access to information. You know, growing up, I used to have to go to a library. Now you can just kind of hit a button and ask a question, and you'll be able to get answers. AI is giving us information at a rapid pace. There's so much out there. There's so many people competing for your mind, your soul, your heart, your pocketbook, your money, that it's very hard to sort out what's good information, what's bad information. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to selfishly figure out what life's all about. What's the best way to get information, read information, learn information, and apply it in such a way that my life improves? And so that's kind of what I'm sharing here. So I found that quote kind of interesting. I'll repeat it. Money is something that has to be grown into with a developed sense of discernment, responsibility, and wisdom. Number four, there's an adage that says you will make the average income of the 5 friends with whom you spend the most time. That's something a lot of people have said, and I concur. You know, if you're just hanging around the same group of people, your same friends, your same network, I would recommend that you expand on that whenever possible if success is important to you. Because if the people that you're around aren't successful, you're probably not going to be successful. Number 5, long-term successful relationships are key to doing the impossible. Nobody reaches greatness alone. I think pretty much what he's saying here is develop a team. There's so many people that you're going to need to help you along the way. You just can't do it alone. Number 6, remember our natural state is to be lazy and take the path of least resistance. Unless we are motivated by the why in our heart. I kind of agree with that. I wake up every day kind of feeling lazy. I don't want to get up and work out, but I do it anyway. I don't want to get up and sit there and make 10 sales calls, but you kind of got to do that. Easier for me to sit back and make an excuse. Kind of let's say I can wait till tomorrow. I can wait till tomorrow. But I think a very successful person has the discipline to overcome that natural state of laziness. Number 7, there are 2 types of people in the world, those who wait and those who do. Number 8, the reality is that if you try to do too many things, you'll do none of them very well. To me, that particular quote hit home. Right now, I'm probably in the middle of 8 to 10 different businesses, and I wonder if I'll be any good with any one of them. This in particular, this is my first video. I spent about, I think maybe 3 minutes preparing for this. Sometimes you're just so doggone busy, you got to kind of wonder, where's the best place of your time? Something I really struggle with If you really want to be good at something, sometimes you got to narrow your focus and know exactly where you want to go. Number 9, the great ones don't get to a goal and stop. They push the envelope. Number 10, sometimes on the way to a dream, you get lost and find a bigger one. I found that truly in my life. I'll set myself in one direction, and all of a sudden, that direction leads me to one contact, one person that kind of shifts your thinking a little bit, and all of a sudden, your dream starts to expand. Number 11, success requires the ability to sell yourself, your product or services or ideas. Number 12, a massive vision doesn't end, it evolves. It grows as you grow, and you grow as your vision grows. Basically, what that tells me is you should always think big, but you should constantly be expanding your vision. Every time you get some success, it's a stepping stone, and it actually makes it easier for you to expand your vision. Number 13, we like being around people with strong beliefs in the future. People with strong beliefs in the future are leaders. So, yeah, naturally we gravitate to them. 14, whether you meet your maker tomorrow or 50 years from now, wouldn't you rather be on your deathbed knowing that you gave it all you had instead of taking the easy path? I wrote that down because that kind of hit home to me. The thing that scares me the most, more than trying, more than failing, is waking up one day and going, this precious thing called life has passed me by. And I will sit there going, I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yes, I'm scared of trying new things, but I'm more scared of not trying. That quote really, really hit home to me. Number 15, toughness is normally developed through events that create a high level of pressure. I think toughness can be learned, it can be developed. And as you overcome obstacles in your life, you naturally become tougher. As a parent who has kids and a young man, a young boy, actually, I think it's my job to put him in positions where he feels pressure and he learns how to deal with that pressure. If he doesn't learn it and develop it, how is he going to be able to survive in life? How is he going to be able to excel? Finding ways for yourself to push yourself, to put the pressure on yourself to get something done, to meet a deadline, or to accomplish a goal is very important. Number 16, the world has taught us that if we play it safe and just follow the system, everything will work out. Those who do the impossible do the total opposite. Number 17, we are lazy when we're not growing and not being forced to elevate our thinking. Number 18, just like we strengthen the muscles in our body by putting them to use, you can strengthen your courage muscle by putting yourself in situations that require courage. That kind of goes back to toughness. You got to put yourself in a position where you actually stretch your courage muscles. They got to be exercised. I remember years ago, I jumped out of a plane for my very first time, and I got in the airplane and I was scared to death. I remember the guys jumping out in front of me, and all of a sudden, they just jump out of the plane, and they looked like they're gone instantly. They tightened up and froze up. And I just eventually just closed my eyes and said, I did it. I jumped. But what that did was that kind of strengthened my courage muscle. And whether it be jumping out of an airplane or just doing something that, pushes you to challenge yourself, something that you need to kind of work on and look for. If you don't practice strengthening that courage muscle, you're going to have a hard time adapting and having what it takes to be a successful person. Number 19, while enjoying the ride may not be necessary to being successful, if you're not having a blast, you're missing the point. If you can't smile along the way, smell the roses along the way, have a little fun, not really enjoy life, what's the purpose of it? So yes, you got to always remember that this is supposed to be fun. You got one life to live. And whenever you can mix business with pleasure, definitely try and do that. Life is serious. Life can be hard, but you're supposed to have some fun. And finally, number 20, as we lie on our deathbeds, I highly doubt we'll be thinking about the expensive cars, nice homes, or jewelry we've had. But I'm certain we'll be thinking about the moments and experiences that gave our lives meaning. That just gives you just a little bit of a flavor. Just kind of rattled off 20 points that, stick with me. They're great reminders of how to live your life. He really elaborates on all those. There's probably 100 of those quotes in this book. So I actually think it's a very, very good book. You can get a lot of information in a short amount of time. It's only about a day and a half read. It also gives us insights to what this guy thought about when he was just on the come up, and now he's on his way to being worth several billions of dollars. The next book that I'll be reviewing will be his next book called Your Next 5 Moves.